John did after Elizabeth died?
Who?
Did John stay at the house after Elizabeth died?
I don't know.
I faintly remember that he was in the desert, and that I forgot how he was kept warm. Eventually, I think he animal skins, but that the angels were
He
involved.
might have been living with the family.
I just remember him wandering in the desert. And then being in a cave. I think I remember something about a cave that he found that he could also shelter himself in, as I recollect. But I mean, it was alone for 28 years or 27 years.
Well, if he was
He
three,
he didn't come out. He didn't come out of the desert until after Jesus was at 30 years old.
That's right. You're right. That's right. Because he had to announce him when he was 30 years old. Jesus was 30.
Yeah.
So this had made him 30 years and a half years.
or wasn't John baptizing before Jesus went public?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jesus was still, Jesus was around public.
Yeah.
But he was doing the baptism and announcing the coming.
John was doing the baptism. Jesus hadn't gone public yet.
Well, he was out in the public, but he hadn't been announced yet.
Right, but that's being public. I mean, we're all in the public, but are you? No.
No. Well,
so was Jesus? When did Jesus start becoming known? Was it after the wedding at Cana? I mean, when did Jesus' public life kind of start?
It must have been after that, because he told Mary, "My time is not here yet."
Yeah.
When Mary said, "Do it," he says, So he worked a miracle. He did that.
Well, we would call that your mama outing you. She outed him. So I don't know. These are just other questions. They're not consequential, but they might be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the questions of the audience. But I think the whole thing's hilarious. That something so simple, could happen to people who are so unsuspecting, but not so simple, but so glorious, but in simple ways that it happens. That's how God uses the natural to do the unnatural. So I just found that to be really funny, between how the guys reacted to things and the information they're given, how the women are given other information. They're told not to talk about it, but they're talking to each other about it. So it's just all funny stuff. But I think that's one of the beautiful things about heaven and the sense of humor that it has. So, well, anything else you can think about that particular take on the Holy Family and the cousins and?
Except Jesus was always God,
Right.
He could have always started walking before his time if he wanted to.
Right.
But when he was a year old, he decided it was time for him to hit the floor, because Mary carried him every place she wanted him to go, where to go. And so one morning he told her, he said, "I want to be put on the floor and get me some clothes." And they told him what kind of clothes he wanted, and they were always poor clothes, and Mary said, "No, that's not good enough for you. That's too rough for your skin." So she bought him linens and stuff like that. And then he said, "I don't need any shoes." And she said, "Yes, you do. You can't be walking around, with no shoes." So she wove him some sandals, and those sandals grew with him, and they kept getting bigger and bigger as he got bigger. So Jesus was trying to make it easy on Mary, like no trouble at all with his kid, but he was growing up and he had to have different clothes to wear. So
yeah, that's funny. So Mary was making cloth and making clothing, And that brings up another story you told me about how when Mary was visiting Elizabeth and she was trying to help out around the house and she wanted to sweep the floor and stuff like this. And you said she'd had the broom and was trying to sweep the floor of the house. It couldn't have been too big, but she was trying to tidy up. And Elizabeth, comes and says, no, 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 no. The mother of my, Lord is not going to be doing this kind of work. Around, we have a servant to do that. And so Mary gives up the broom, but then Elizabeth says what? Says, well, I could use a new outfit. So it was too much for Mary to clean the place, but it wasn't too much for Mary to help her make Elizabeth a new outfit, or to make baby clothes for the.
She was also making the baby clothes too.
Right. So that was okay. That wasn't too much. I find that kind of funny that the one is too much and the other's not. But then you guys said that Elizabeth wouldn't even wear the new outfit that Mary put together for her because she thought it was too nice or she didn't want to ruin it.
I don't know. Yeah.
And maybe Mary,
both good women.
Maybe Mary just made it out of sense of being nice, and Elizabeth saying, "Oh, that's really nice, but I need to save that for a special occasion that never came up."
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
And maybe bury me in that one or something like that. But maybe they did.
You wonder if these pieces still exist somewhere. The Blessed Mother made our Lord that undergarment that grew with him.
I don't know, but when Mary died, she only had 2 outfits, and there were 2 ladies taking care of her. And when she was dying, and Mary wanted to bring the apostles all home for her death, and some of them were too far away, so she had to zap them home.
She bilocated, yeah.
And so, yeah. And so
the technical term is zapping them home. So
when she died, these 2 ladies were going to take care of the body, and when they approached the body, they were pushed back, and like Mary didn't want them. And so when they were pushed back, then 2 apostles went forward and took care of the body. And that was okay with Mary, evidently, because she let the apostles do it. And when they were carrying her, her weight wasn't any more than the clothes that she had on. So her body was already gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they describe what they did with the body?
No, I don't remember that, but I'll be seeing it whenever I get to that part. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, her body must have been glorified. If the body was there, but it was so glorified and pure that
the clothes were there, but the body was no weight.
So maybe heaven just took the body right away and just left like a shell or a shape holder, whatever.
Jesus came and got her.
Yeah, there's some mystery there. Yeah, I'd like to reread her death and get that information that you're presenting. But that would almost be like they left almost a bilocation of then her spirit.
Well, the spirit's the main thing, but they were taking body together like Jesus did, and Mary had been taken once before.
Well, then maybe it was bilocation, or that she was in 2 places, or at least the semblance that's what you're saying.
Well, I don't know, but I don't know if they ever buried Mary.
See, I thought, well, no, they never buried her. I mean, in terms of in the ground or in a tomb,
crypt or anything like that.
I don't think it was like that, but I know that all of the disciples were brought to her, whether the angels carried them or whatever, at the time of her death. And I think it was 3 days. She wanted to replicate or mimic what her son went through. Because they said, well, you don't have to die. You can just come up. He said, well, I want to die. I want to follow my Lord and Savior and my Son. That so I want to die because He died. And but there is a mystery here in terms of.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what, if any, of the articles say about the actual burial of Mary. If
The only thing I remember is
because it just like stops. They say they took care of the body, and they don't say what they did.
I'll see if I can find that. But as I remember or recollect it, it was like an open, like a open funeral. Like they didn't bring her to I don't believe they brought her to like a. I'll look it up. I haven't read it some time, but I'm sure it's a beautiful story.
You would think there'd be more discussion about something like that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
This is why I'm saying there's a lot of missing pieces to these puzzles.
Well, and it's because the very thing you were saying, the church is not only the writings in the scripture, but it's a tradition. It's what's passed down. So the disciples saw her glorified, even in death, and they saw her assumption that Christ came and brought her up into heaven. So,
but there's nothing in the Bible about that, is there?
There probably is, Larry, but it's like I said, it's in layers or something. You really have to
decode.
You got to read through the lines. I mean, you
got to understand the context, what was going on at the time, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And realize there's humans are the ones that are carrying out these,
sure,
holy things that are happening,
right?
And so there's room there for.
Well, look at you.
Well, I know. Look at me. I mean, stop it.
It's just they ask you to do something, thinking, I don't want to do this. Well, if you want me to do it, show me something. They actually showed you. Going, oh, I shouldn't have asked that.
Not your guy.
Yeah. Well, who would be? It's like and you're honest with them. So, well, then show me. You should have never asked that question because they showed you.
Well, had I not, and I went the other way, I'd have probably been ruined for life because something would have been missing from my natural path.
Sure. Of what
well, this is the thing: is that the natural blends in with the spiritual so often, and that's where I think a lot of times people get so messed up in this world is they're too afraid and too concerned about their natural to believe and allow something of the spiritual to be happening.
So what was your thought and your feeling when they showed you the cross?
Oh, shit.
And why did you say that?
Because I'd made a deal.
And you're going to go for a ride.
Well, I'd made a deal. I don't know what is going to happen. I didn't know it was going to be a ride, but I know that I made a deal.
And what would you sense about that deal?
Well, that it wasn't going to be
2 days.
Well, yeah, this wasn't going to be easy.
Let me see. I got Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll call it quits.
You ever see the movie Tommy Boy?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, and he'd smack his head and go, "Oh, that's going to leave a mark." That's what I was thinking.
It's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, this is going to leave a mark.
Okay.
This is going to hurt, and it's going to leave a mark.
Well, there you go. That spiritual call and the human sense of where's this going?
Yeah,
but I know it's going to leave a mark.
And here I've got my mother, Saint Rita, my wife, Lynn, and my father, Frank. They all get taken along for the ride. And that's what I'm thinking at that point is like, what the hell did I just do? And I didn't consult with the rest of the family. And so I'm thinking, I just really screwed up.
Well, I wonder about that. Because Raconte,
you wonder about it. I had to live through it.
Well, I know. Ferdinand Raconte, when the Lord called him to do something, right? Mm-hmm. He says, he negotiates. But he says, well, could you put it into Barbara's heart and to be with me of what you want me to do?
His wife.
Right. And I would say, no problem. Like, okay, right. Because if your wife is not with you on the ride, you really got a double whammy, triple whammy.
Oh, I'm telling you. And mine was kind of reluctant, but she was there until, everything.
No, she was there long enough to pitch in, but I think it became overwhelming to her
well, everything was. The attacks were just too much.
Right.
Is the trial. It was such a blessing that we were broken up by then. It was such a blessing, I think, in a weird way. My mother was always a strong one.
Rita?
Yeah, sorry, Rita. But Dad wouldn't have made it through the trial.
Is that right?
Yeah. It would have killed him, and it would have, taken them probably both out. It was bad enough for my mother to sit home and wait all week for me to show up on Friday evening to let her know that they didn't kill me yet.
Right.
But I'd call her at night, let her know that nothing dramatic happened that day or something fun happened. I'll tell her about it on Friday. But I would spend Friday evening and Saturday telling her all about it, and then Sunday I'd just make preparations to go back to get ready for Monday again at the trial. It was just a vicious cycle for 3 months.
Unbelievable.
It was terrible. I wouldn't want anyone to have to go through that.
Yeah. No, absolutely there.
People say about, well, just file a civil suit against them. Well, I got news for you. If you file a civil suit against somebody, you're going to be married to that person for about 5 years.
Right, and don't know the outcome at the end of it.
Right.
Yeah, we give you, you're going to get the money, this is what we're going to give you, but you never collect it because they
find a way to screw you over.
It's.
And we weren't after money.
Anyway.
We just wanted this stuff to end and be done with because we were so sick of the fighting that was going on.
No, I can't imagine it. I can't imagine conflict every day, people coming on you and then trying to keep the thing going. And
well, it's to a certain level. Then I get these two dingleberries from Indianapolis come in and file this lawsuit against Patricia Fuller, and I get drug into it on the backside. I didn't even know these guys.
Right.
But you know what? For 5 years and even longer, 10 years, I was frickin' married to him.
Right. Yeah.
And this is kind of the craziness. And unfortunately, St. Rita and people like that around me get taken along for the ride too.
Yeah, you got that on your mind, sure.
Of course I do. And she does too. She's praying for me all the time.
That's your mother.
Is that right, St. Rita?
That's right.
That's right.
Minimum 2 hours a day, minimum, guaranteed.
She used to say damn straight. It is.
No, and I've said this to Larry, it's a job well done to you and your family and the commitments that young family in participating and preserving this most precious of God's intervention of Our Lady of American apparition. So, and you said it, really, you have to wait until we get into heaven to get, whatever rewards or our Lord says, job well done. But this is very difficult for the family to stand in the breach when you have the Catholic Church and multitudes of God knows who, coming on you along with Lucifer and his pals is a beautiful way to stand in the breach for a good Lord, and your family did it, and it is preserved. The Our Lady of America apparition has been preserved because of your family's.
It had a chance to be recognized and elevated to the status it is now. And that is that it's in that middle ground of discernment for the church. And they got to do what they want. But I got to tell you, anyone who wants to know, I got to tell them, this happened. I know it happened. I don't believe it happened. I know it happened.
Yep.
And I know there's at times she's still there for other people.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that the feeling is getting to be less and less for a lot of the folks, because I had visitors this last week begging me to, come back. They said they can't feel anything there now. They're not even going.
You ain't going back.
No, I told them, I said, it's
You
over.
going back?
Why would I go back?
I don't know. I wouldn't.
Well,
Gone through all that stuff.
I don't want to be lied
Pass
to.
the torch to the new generation.
No. You guys deal with this. This is not a Catholic thing. Our Lady of America. People won't accept that. They always want to keep going back to the Catholic rules and stuff like that on it. But if they let go of that whole Catholic thing and realize, like Charlie Kirk did, that the call to purity is about seeking truth and beauty in the things all around us. Discount the ugly and the unnatural. Stick with that which is truthful and beautiful.
Yep.
Those are God's creations. That is the path to purity. And it comes in all different forms. And this is what people need to understand about Our Lady of America. It's not about Catholic virtue or something like that. It's about being truthful and beautiful and to reflect what God has asked of us in our lives. And it's not that hard. You just have to quit being such a pig about things and thinking that everything revolves around you. My mother grew up and nothing revolved around her.
Right.
I don't think she ever felt that anything was, that she was the center of anything. I think she grew up as being sort of like a pained observer many times, to watch things around her as she grew and came to understand the world. She grew up, kind of, handicapped. Mother taken away at such an early age.
Sure, absolutely.
And then getting a dysfunctional replacement.
Sure.
Type of thing comes in. The girl was on her own.
Yep.
As was the whole family, And Father did the best he could. And they all made it. And you know what? I don't think I ever heard any of your brothers and sisters ever complain. Did you, Mom?
I didn't hear any.
No, it just wasn't in them. They were all self-sufficient. They were all like, well, this is how it is. We'll work through that. Work will get me through this. But that's leaving the discussion for so many families and individuals these days. They all want to blame somebody else. There's no one to blame. There's just ground to gain.